Hey, you think I don't know about YouTube? Well, I do. With today's story, you laugh, you learn, and you remember where you come from and recognize where you are going. The elders say, what the old sees while sitting, a young cannot see even from the top of a tree. So come now, listen well and let the story speak to your spirit.
Once upon a time, in the island village of Itsanzeni, where the waves of the Indian Ocean beat against black volcanic rocks, and the air carried the scent of ylang-ylang and wood smoke, there lived a woman whose story would travel farther than the fishing boats and linger longer than the evening drums. Her name was Amina binti Salim. Now listen well, my people, for this is not a story of empty wombs or silent cradles. No, this is a story of pride, secrets, betrayal, and the kind of forgiveness that does not come easily. This is a story of a woman who lost her place without moving her feet, and of a man who tried to stand in two shadows at once. As the elders say, the path you hide will one day become the road everyone walks. Amina was known across Itsanzeni, not just for her beauty, though yes, she had that in abundance, but for her sharp mind and steady hands. She was a trader, moving between villages with baskets of spices, woven cloth and dried fish. Where others saw distance, she saw opportunity. Where others feared the unknown, she stepped into it. Her husband, Kasim, was a fisherman, strong and respected, with a voice that carried authority even when he spoke softly. Together, they were what people admired, a partnership that seemed balanced like a well-carved canoe gliding over calm waters. They had 2 children, a boy named Salim and a girl named Rukia. Their home was filled with laughter, discipline, and the rhythm of shared responsibility. Amina traveled often, sometimes for weeks at a time, while Kasim held the home together. And this, my listeners, is where the wind began to change direction. For as the elders say, when the goat is away, the yam field does not stay empty. During Amina's travels, Kasim began to grow restless. At first, it was small things.
Longer evenings by the shore, more time spent in neighboring villages, conversations that stopped when others approached. The kind of changes that do not shout, but whisper. And whispers, my people, are often more dangerous than shouts. One season, when the monsoon winds had begun to soften, Amina traveled to the larger market across the island. The journey was long, but the rewards were worth it. She stayed away longer than usual, 3 weeks instead of 1. When she returned, something felt different. The children greeted her with joy, clinging to her waist, telling stories over one another. Kasim welcomed her, but his embrace lacked the warmth she knew. It was there, but not fully. Amina noticed, because as the elders say, the eye that measures cloth does not forget its length. Days passed. Amina resumed her place in the home, but she moved like someone stepping into a house that had been quietly rearranged. Then came the whispers. Ah yes, the village does not sleep, my people. Even when eyes are closed, ears remain open. One afternoon, as Amina pounded cassava with the other women, laughter rose from a corner. It was the kind of laughter that bends around you without touching you directly. She travels far, that one, a woman said. Too far,
Another replied. And when a woman travels too far, the first added, she should not be surprised if her place becomes shared. The pistol in Amina's hand paused, but only for a heartbeat. She said nothing, but her spirit had already begun to listen more carefully.
That evening, she watched Kasim, the way he avoided certain questions, the way he stepped out after dinner saying he needed air, the way his eyes carried a weight he did not offer to her. Amina was not a foolish woman. She did not confront him immediately. No, she waited. Because patience, my people, is the hunter that never misses. Days later, the truth came. Not from Kasim, but from a child. Children, they carry truth like water in open hands. They do not always know when it spills. Little Rukia, while braiding her doll's hair, said casually, Baba went to visit Mariama again today. Amina's hands stilled. Mariama? She asked gently. Who is Mariama? Rukia smiled, unaware of the storm she had just called. The woman near the mango grove, the one who gives us coconut sweets. The wind shifted. That night, Amina did not sleep. She lay beside Kasim, listening to his breathing slow and steady as though nothing in the world had shifted. But Amina was not listening for peace, no. She was measuring him, measuring the spaces between his breaths, searching for the truth that hid behind his silence. As the elders say, a calm river might still hide a crocodile beneath. When dawn came, she rose quietly, careful not to disturb him. Without a word, she wrapped her cloth tightly around her waist and stepped into the early morning air. The village was still waking. The faint crackle of cooking fires, the distant call to prayer, the rustle of palm leaves greeting the wind. Amina walked toward the mango grove. Not in haste, not in fear, but with purpose.
She had heard the name. Now she would see the face. The sun had barely begun its climb when she reached the small house hidden between the trees. And there, standing outside, sweeping the yard, was a woman. Young, graceful, and familiar in the way strangers should not be. Their eyes met. And in that moment, my people, two women understood more than words could carry. You have come, the young woman said softly. Amina's voice was steady, unshaken. It seems I should have come sooner. Silence settled between them, thick as the humidity before rain. Amina studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded. I only came to know who carries his name in whispers, she said. The young woman lowered her gaze. My name is Mariama. Amina turned to leave. But as she walked back through the village, the ground beneath her feet no longer felt the same. For now, the truth had a face. And a face, my people, is harder to forget than a rumor. The following night, Kasim did not come home. Now the drum begins to beat louder. Amina sat in the quiet of the house, the children asleep beside her, the oil lamp flickering low. She waited. The wind passed. The night deepened. Still, he did not return. And Amina did not chase.
Because as the elders say, the one who runs after a shadow will lose the path. When morning came again, she rose before the sun. This time, there was no hesitation.
She wrapped her cloth firmly, her jaw set, her heart no longer searching, but knowing. The path to the mango grove was no longer unfamiliar. The house stood as it had the day before. Amina saw Mariam sweeping, but this time, Kasim was there. He stepped out just as she arrived. And for the first time, the truth did not hide behind silence. It stood between them, uninvited, undeniable. Kasim froze. Amina looked at him, not with anger. No, with something far heavier. Disappointment. The kind of disappointment that does not shout, but stays. And in that moment, my people, the story changed forever. How long? She asked. Kasim opened his mouth, then closed it again. Mariama answered instead. 2 years. 2 years. 2 years of shared laughter, shared meals, shared life, while Amina carried baskets across villages, believing her home stood as she left it. 2 years, Amina repeated. Her voice did not break, but something inside her shifted. And what is she to you? Amina asked, her gaze fixed on Kasim. Kasim swallowed. My wife.
The word hung in the air like a curse. Amina laughed then, but it was not joy. It was the sound of something unraveling. So, she said slowly, I am the first wife who became the second. As the elders say, the one who eats alone cannot hide the crumbs forever. She turned to leave, but then she stopped. No, she said, we will not leave truth standing in the shadows. She turned back. You will come home, she said to Kasim, both of you. Kasim blinked. What? You heard me, Amina replied. If you have built 2 houses, then today we will see which one can stand. And so they returned. The village watched. The village watched like birds waiting for green to fall. By sunset, the story had already grown legs. Amina brought her husband's secret home. She walks with fire in her chest. This house will not survive. But as the elders say, it is not the noise of the crowd that decides the strength of a roof. That night, the 3 of them sat together. No shouting, no thrown pots, just truth. Why? Amina asked. Kasim struggled. You were always away. The house, it felt empty. Amina's eyes sharpened. Empty or uncontrolled? Silence. Mariama spoke softly. He said he was lonely. Amina looked at her. And you believed a man who already had a wife would not bring you into loneliness of your own? Mariama lowered her gaze. Here is where the story deepens. For Mariama was not wicked. No, she was a woman who had also been searching for stability, for belonging, for a place to stand in a world that often shifted beneath her feet.
I did not know you at first, Mariama said. When I did, it was already too late. Amina nodded slowly. As the elders say, when the fire catches the roof, it does not ask who built the house. Days turned into weeks. The house changed. Not peacefully, not easily. There were arguments, tears, long silences that stretched like dry seasons. The children were confused. The village was divided. Some said Amina should leave. Others said she should fight. But Amina chose something harder. She chose to stay. Not out of weakness, but out of control. You will not push me out of the life I built, she told Kasim. If you wanted a second wife, you should have had the courage to say so. Now we will live the truth you created. And so, the two wives learned each other. They learned each other's strengths and each other's flaws. Amina was disciplined, structured, commanding. Mariama was gentle, adaptive, observant. At first, they clashed like waves against rock. But slowly, something unexpected began to grow. Not friendship. No. Something deeper. Understanding. For both had been wronged, just in different ways.
Kasim. Kasim learned the hardest lesson. That a man who seeks to divide his life must also divide his peace. There was no rest for him now. No simple laughter. No easy authority. Only the constant work of repairing what he had broken. Years passed. The house did not collapse. It bent. It cracked. It trembled. But it stood. And the village changed its tune. They did not break, they said. They became something else. And Amina, she became a story. Not of a woman who was replaced, but of a woman who refused to disappear. As the elders say, the tree that survives the storm does not forget the wind, but it still gives shade. And so, remember this, my people. Secrets do not stay buried. Choices do not disappear. And the heart that is tested will either shatter or become something unbreakable. This is the story of Amina of Itsanzini. Carry it well. Let me ask, if you were ever confronted with such a harrowing experience, how would you have reacted? Would your reaction have been influenced by your religion, your beliefs, or pressure from society?
My dear ones, this is where our story ends for now. But tell me, what did your heart feel as you listened? Share your thoughts in the comment, You know Grandma loves to hear from you. And don't forget, press that subscribe button, like the story, and ring the little bell so that every time I come back here, you will be the first to join me. Until then, may your paths be safe, fruitful, and peaceful. Remember, keep your heart warm, your spirit curious and kind.